the time frame is not 3 months, 4 months. You can get started with SEO in as less as 3 days. You want your page to rank, you want establish yourself as a thought leader in your space. There are also other tools which you can leverage for this, for finding industry trends, such as exploring topics, answer the public, Google Trends, BuzzSumo, etc. The likelihood of you succeeding with your SEO efforts purely in terms of the volume is going to be higher if you can create content more frequently. Write about only those topics that are relevant to your business.
This is Naseef KPO, an IIM Bangalore alumni, is a marketeer turned entrepreneur who comes with a great passion for changing how marketing is perceived in B2B companies. He founded Scale Group, a B2B marketing agency that helps companies in the IT, tech, SaaS, and embedded system industries grow into marketing. Naseef actively writes about different topics in B2B marketing in his LinkedIn newsletter called Elevate Your Marketing. He's also a podcaster, speaker, and mentor to many B2B marketeers and business professionals. Currently, he's focusing on building Scale Grow into multi-million-dollar organizations.
Welcome, Naseef.
Thanks, Pushkal.
What do we exactly mean by getting started with SEO-led content, and especially within 3 days?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me on your show. We have known each other for quite some time now, and it's a pleasure to be talking to you always. Coming to your question, when it comes to SEO, what the general notion is that it takes a hell lot of effort to start with SEO. And I have been trying to break that inertia, bust that myth by consistently talking about how you can get started with SEO in as less as 3 days. I've been interacting with a lot of startup founders as part of my job. I run a marketing agency called Scale Grow, and one of our target audiences is startups and early stage companies. And a lot of them have not even started actively investing in SEO, and they think most of them are not doing it because they think it's a lot of effort and a lot of money to actually start doing it. And like I said, I wanted people to shift from that mindset and look at SEO as something very light, but at the same time you get it right only if you know how to do it right. But the time frame is not 3 months, 4 months. You can get started with SEO in as less as 3 days. It will take time for you to see results. That's not what I'm talking about, but purely in terms of getting started, publishing a piece of content, if you have the will, you can do it in 3 days. And why is it important? SEO is a long-term game, right? And it takes time to work. And the earlier you start, the better. So speed is absolutely critical. If a competitor of yours is taking 3 months to get started with SEO, and if you can do that in 3 days, you are far ahead in the journey already. So that's why it is important.
Thanks, Naseef, for sharing this. Before we get into details of the approach, let me share a few misconceptions related to SEO that I've come across. Being a marketer, a lot of our friends come to us and say that, "Hey, bro, can you fix my SEO? It's just a one-time task. Can you help me with that?" No, the reality is SEO is not just a one-time task. It requires the ongoing efforts to adapt to changes in algorithms and the market dynamics.
Exactly.
And I remember talking to a colleague a few days back. We just went to Ahrefs and saw that how many backlinks are there for us vis-a-vis our competitors, and we could see that okay, we have little less backlinks as compared to them. So the notion here is more backlinks might give us better results. Again, no, quality and relevance of backlinks matter more than the quantity. Few people
Right.
talk about, hey, content doesn't matter, focus on technical SEO. Again, no, quality content is extremely vital for engagement and tracking. So these are few of the misconceptions that I have come across, but I would love to hear it from you. What are the misconceptions that are there related to search engine optimization?
There are plenty actually. The very first one I would want to start with is SEO is not dead. There are a lot of people who are saying in the era of ChatGPT and AI, SEO is dead, but that's not true. It still works, and that's still something that I suggest to a lot of my clients at Scale Grow. The second thing is that not many still understand that SEO cannot work magic in a few days. Can get started with SEO in 3 days, but it will take you some time to start seeing some results. So stay away from the idea that you start blogging today and you will start getting leads tomorrow. That is not going to happen in reality. The third one is many even SEO, not just founders or marketers, but even some SEO professionals tend to go purely with keyword volume and competition all the time. I mean, this there is nothing wrong with the approach, but you might be missing out on another opportunity if you are purely going by that, because there are a lot of newer keywords that are emerging in a space which might not have the necessarily which might not necessarily have large enough historical keyword volume, but are relevant to be spoken about. Right? An example would be trending topics in your Indian industry, which if you put in to an SEO tool, you will not find large enough volume, or you might not even find enough data. So you basically don't just go with keyword volume or competition, but also look at industry trends. The fourth thing is that people think SEO is something that you should invest only after your business achieves a certain level of maturity. I have LinkedIn, I am running Google Ads, so I'll get leads from that now, and I will invest in SEO only 6 months later. But like I said in the beginning, SEO is a long-term game, and the earlier you start, the better. So it's not something that you should do once your business achieves funding or reaches a certain level of revenue. Uh, the last thing, which is kind of related to the theme of the topic, is that SEO is one of the channels that has the least barrier to entry. If you want to do video marketing, that is very time consuming. Building an email list takes time. Google Ads might not work if you really don't have good supporting content. So start start with SEO today, because it's one of the channels where the barrier to entry is very, very less. So these are some of the misconceptions. There could be many more, but these are the most common ones that I have come across.
Great, Naseef. Thank you so much for sharing that. Next, let us come to the core of today's discussion. You can talk my audience through the step-by-step process of getting started with the SEO-led content within 3 days.
Okay. So this is where it gets really interesting, and this is a topic that I've been very, very vocal about in the last 2 to 3 months. In fact, I've written a very detailed article about this on my LinkedIn newsletter called Elevate Your Marketing, with the exact same title, Getting Started with SEO-led Content in 3 days. So what I've done is I have divided the entire process into 3 steps across the 3 days. So on day one, you have what is called research and content analysis. On day two, you have topic ideation and detailed keyword analysis. On day three, you have the content creation bit, creating your first piece of content. So this is how I have categorized the entire framework into 3 steps. So let me get into some more details. What I'll try to do is I will not get into the very, very details of everything, because that is going to consume a lot of time. But rather, I'll try to give you uh, a skeleton of the entire framework. You can actually go back and look at my article to understand the process in detail. So starting with day one, where you do research and content analysis. So this is the foundation of your SEO framework for the 3 days. And when it comes to SEO, primarily there are two types of content. One is blog, and the other one is your product or core service pages, or even home pages, white paper landing pages, and other pages you have on your website. And the approach for research and content analysis remains more or less same for both the categories. There might be some smaller differences, but it primarily involves 2 to 3 steps. One is finding finding keywords, finding the core keywords for your business. And this is basically, this can be done in different ways. You can go look at a competitor's website, look at their individual pages, put that URL into an SEO tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, and find the keywords they are ranking for. Now, if you one way to do it is to go manually to each of these pages, pick the URL, put that into the tool, and come up with keywords. But you can do this at scale by doing something called a keyword gap analysis, wherein you take your own product or service pages URL, uh, you put that into the tool. You also compare it. You also add one or two of your or more, two or three of your competitors' product or service pages, and you compare these pages to come up with a list of keywords that your competitor is ranking for, but you are not. So this is called a keyword gap analysis or a content gap analysis. You can use the tool of your choice, whether it's SEMrush or Ahrefs. All tools come with this particular feature, and this is how you come up with a new list of keywords. The second thing is what I briefly touched upon earlier, which is finding trending topics, which you can do by looking at online and offline magazines in your space, podcasts, newsletters, YouTube channels, industry leaders and influencers, etc. But if you want to do this at scale again in a consolidated manner, there are tools that help you do this. And one of my favorite tools is called Spark Toro, Toro, which is actually founded by or developed by Rand Fishkin, who was the founder of Moz. This tool gives you a consolidated list of all websites, YouTube channels, podcasts, LinkedIn profiles, etc., that talk about a particular topic in your niche. There are also other tools which you can leverage for this for finding industry trends, such as exploring topics, Answer the Public, Google Trends, BuzzSumo, etc. So this is the second step. So you started with finding keywords in your space by comparing with your competitors. Second, you find trending topics. Now you want to expand this and identify newer keyword opportunities. You can't just rely on your competitor to come up with keywords, right? Which is where you look at other techniques like comparing your website with blogs or online magazines in your space that are creating good content. You can also use the related keywords method wherein you put in your individual keywords in a tool and the in an SEO tool, and the tool will give you related keywords. There are a few more techniques where look at review websites. You can use an intent intelligence tool. You can also look for variants of a specific word. Let's say, for example, you have a meeting scheduler app, and instead of using meeting scheduler, you can try a phrase like appointment schedule. So this is how you come up with related keywords as well. So the process is almost similar for your product or key service pages and blogs. There might be slight differences, but overall, this is how it really looks like. So the research and content analysis process involves three things: finding your core keywords, uh, finding industry trends, and coming up with related or newer keyword opportunities.
Makes sense. So, Naseef, you touched upon content clustering and repurposing. I am going a bit off topic here, but can you talk about the different ways in which B2B markets can leverage repurposing the content to create more content?
Yeah. So repurposing, I think for some reason is a topic that has been made very complex by a lot of us marketers, because we want to sound geeky. But it's such a simple topic that, even a 10-year-old can understand. The logic is very simple, right? Basically, you create like a foundational pool of content. Then you think about how you can convert that into multiple smaller pieces of content or different formats of content. Right? And the framework is very simple. And I happen to have written an article on this as well, which is titled Content Clustering and Repurposing. And repurposing, as we all know, is a method to scale your content creation process. Now, coming to the framework of content repurposing, I do it in, I actually have linked to a template that you can use for content repurposing in the article that I mentioned. But here is how it goes. You just need four columns. You need the basic, the first content type. It can be a blog post, it can be a video, it can be a podcast episode, it can be a video interview like this, right? The second thing is you think about what are the different types of content formats you can repurpose that into. For example, a blog post can be converted into multiple social media posts. You can create a video out of it. You can convert that into an infographic, maybe. You can split that into different newsletter editions. So think about all these content formats you can convert that piece into. The third column is where where have you published the first piece of content? What is the default publishing channel? Let's take blog post for example. You would have published that on your website. So that is your default publishing channel. Now, alongside this, in the fourth column, you also list down other channels you are you are going to promote, you can promote these content pieces on. So you have to basically read content formats and channels together. Let's say, for example, let's imagine you are converting a blog post into a video, and your default publishing channel is the website. Your new content type or format is a video, and the channels that you can promote that on are, let's say, YouTube, uh, LinkedIn, your own website, for example. Maybe you are uploading videos on other channels, other platforms like Vimeo, for example. So basically, against each piece of content, you list down the content type you can repurpose it into, and the channels that you can promote the most. So it's as simple as that. Maybe we can link to this article where users, where viewers can go look at the complete process. But this is essentially how it looks like.
Definitely. Great. I'm sure my listeners would be able to derive a ton of value from this framework. And next, I wanted to ask you about the frequency of writing a blog post. What do you recommend should be the ideal number of the post a B2B business should create per week or month?
So there is nothing like a golden number when it comes to the frequency of the content you publish. It's difficult to say if you do uh 5 a month compared to 2 a month, you will do better. The quality of the content also matters a lot. The topic you choose, the keywords you target, all of these matter. But purely in terms of the frequency, I would say if you can do one per week, that is a good start. But ideally, if you want to be more aggressive with your SEO efforts, you should target two per week. And imagine how this can convert, what this can convert into over a period of 1 year. So we have 52 weeks in a year. Let's say you do one per week, right? You have 52 pieces of content that could potentially rank based on the keywords that you have targeted. Now, if you wrote two per week, it gives you 104. So the likelihood of you succeeding with your SEO efforts purely in terms of the volume is going to be higher if you can create content more frequently. But like I said in the beginning, it's not just the quantity or the frequency, the quality of your content also matters. And that's not just purely from an SEO standpoint. What is it that you're talking about in these pieces of content? Are you just creating an AI type content that a chat GPT can create, or are you sharing some unique perspective of or point of view that you can bring to the table as a business? So
Right.
a lot of things come into play here. But if somebody were to ask me, Naseef, I want to be very aggressive with my SEO efforts in the next 1 year, I would suggest them do 2 articles per month. And depending on the industry you are in, the nature of content can differ, but you can categorize them into, let's say, educational, promotional, etc. But this is how I look at SEO led content when it comes to the frequency of publishing content.
Let's end this with the final question. What are some of the best practices that a marketer needs to follow when it comes to SEO led content?
So, SEO is a very broad topic. I think it's very difficult to kind of lay down like everything related to SEO in a single question or a podcast interview. And we are only talking about SEO-led content here. There are other areas of SEO like technical SEO, off-page SEO, which we are not even touching upon. But within the context of SEO-led content, what are the best practices? So first thing is that you have to get your basics right, right? Choose the right keywords. Make sure you include those keywords in all your meta tags like title, H1, meta description, your other H tags, all tags, etc. So get these basics right. Make sure that you have optimized your page for your, let's say, article or service page for all the on-page SEO elements. That is one thing. The second thing is that while you this is something that I again suggest to a lot of my clients. Don't look at SEO purely from an SEO standpoint. Eventually, why are you doing SEO, right? You want your page to rank. You want establish yourself as a thought leader in your space, and you want to look at it from a business standpoint as well. I'll explain what I mean by this.
Okay.
You can write top articles on all the related keywords or all the relevant keywords in your space, but is it really relevant to your business? Is it really relevant to what you are selling? Eventually, the idea is that you're using blogs or SEO led content as top of the funnel layer to drive traffic to your website, and you want to funnel those set of users or readers to the other pages and eventually convert them into customers. So that is the whole idea, right? There is no point in doing it without eventually seeing some conversions. So also think about it from a business standpoint where you pick only those topics or write about only those topics that are relevant to your business. It might sound very simple, but I don't see a lot of businesses doing this very well. The third thing is that see how can you make small improvements to what you're doing, right? And when I say small improvements, it can be something as simple as, let's say, embedding a video into your blog post, right? That improves average engagement time on the page. It uh, it leads users to uh, you know it helps to reduce the bounce rate. All these are positive indicators to a search engine saying that this content is quality content. It helps to improve your YouTube channel or video views as well on wherever you're hosting it, whether it's YouTube or Vimeo. So it helps in other ways as well. But look at those small things where you can improve your content. Let's say, for example, how can you add an infographic in a piece of content, right? Like how you embed a video. So think about those small improvements. One improvement alone might not create a significant impact, but think about doing this for the 104 articles that you're creating in a year. So doing this for every single thing is gonna accumulate over time, and at one point you're gonna see an exponential growth of all the small bits of changes that you're making, right? And the other things, there is this whole debate around number of words, what number of words is optimal. And again, there is no golden number there. It really depends on the topic and the depth you want to cover. But you got to have at least 600 to 700 words in a page, ideally for that page to come up in the rankings. But usually, if it's a very niche space and all, I try to niche topic. I suggest that you go above 1500 words. So it's again not a golden number. I have even read articles that are like 6,000, 7,000 words, but it really depends on the topic you cover, the niche you are in, etc. And other there are other basic things, right? Google talks so much about its search rater guidelines, which is EEAT, which stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So basically, you're not just trying to create commodity content, you're trying to establish yourself as a trustworthy, authoritative thought leader in your space. So always keep that in mind. So yeah, I think these are the best practices. There are many more that I can talk about, but this is the gist of it, especially in the context of SEO-led content.